Welcome back to this week's leadership lesson. I've got a big secret for you, so come here, I want you to pay attention. I'm going to tell you about the single most important conversation that you'll ever have with somebody that works for you. On the first day that I start working with somebody, the first hour, if I can, if schedule permits, the first hour they're on the job or the first hour they're reporting to me, I sit down and I ask them, what are your dreams? What are your dreams in life? What are your dreams in your career? I'm going to stop you right here. It feels silly. It even feels silly to me after all these years. But I assure you, when you sit down and you have this conversation with somebody, they're going to tell you that nobody asks me that, or nobody has ever asked me that. I get that response all the time. But yet this is the single most important conversation we're ever going to have with somebody that works for us. So you're going to accomplish a couple of things by having this conversation with them. First of all, let's just talk about dreams for a minute. So what happens to us is when we're young, dreams come easy. We dream of what we're going to be when we grow up. We dream of what we're going to accomplish. And then we get a little older. And then life slaps us in the face. And we get married and we have kids and things start happening to us. And all of a sudden, dreams aren't a reality anymore. Now we set goals because we've settled for goals because we've given up on dreams. Well, that's foolish and that's nonsense. You know, Colonel Sanders opened his first franchise KFC when he was in his 60s. It's never too late to have dreams. It's never too late to start something. And so the first thing you're going to do by having this conversation is you're actually going to maybe resurrect a dream in somebody that they have lost. I've had this happen so many times where I sit down and I start talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, well, I used to kind of have this dream. And then as you start to talk, they see that you believe in it. You believe that this can happen. And all of a sudden they get excited about it. And they start to realize that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't give up on this. Maybe I do need to go for it. And so sometimes just by having this conversation, you spark something in a person where now they think that this dream that they gave up or that they lost sight of can still be had. The second thing you're going to do by having this conversation is you are going to create a roadmap. So somebody's going to tell you when you finally get to what their dream is. Their dream might be, I want to be the CEO of the company one day. Or their dream might be, I want to own a lake house and I want to retire early. Or they might tell you that they want to work in a different department. You might work in operations and they may tell you, I want to be a chief marketing officer. So there's a lot of different things that could come up in that meeting, but it's their dream, so they're going to tell you what it is. But whatever that dream is out here, what we're going to do with that is then we're going to back ourselves up into what do we need to do now, today, next week, next month, and start to build out that roadmap and what do we need to do now to get you ready for that. And that's really critical because, anytime you start off with something, you got to be able to break it up into little pieces and start somewhere. And that's how you do it. And once you do that, you start to realize that, it is doable. And if I'm just doing something and I map it out, and I do something every day, I can get there. I can do it. I can achieve what I want. And so we create this plan for somebody. And look, if that plan is outside your organization, if that person wants to go into marketing, well, do everything you can to help them get there. If they're a great employee, so what? And some people might have a dream that's completely personal. They want to own that lake house, or they want to buy a Ferrari, or whatever their dream is, but they're happy in their job. And there is nothing wrong with that. We need people that are happy in their jobs and love what they do. And so, in that case, what can you do to help them with their personal goals? Can you put them in touch with a financial planner? Can you do some things to help them today get ready to achieve that thing they want out of life? Don't put barriers on yourself or them. You can help. You can do something. You're a leader. You can do it. Here's the great benefit of doing this. after you have these conversations, you realize where somebody wants to go, you realize what their dreams are. Now we can leverage that in the future. So if I have somebody that comes to me and they say, I want to be a CEO, well, guess what? I'm going to push that person really hard. They're going to need to develop skills, and they're going to need to perform at a level that's much better than the average. And so I can't expect mediocre performance out of that person. I've got to push them, and I'm going to push them harder than other people. And if they get to that point where they get upset with me, or I give them feedback and they take it the wrong way, I'm going to sit down with them and I'm going to say, look, you told me your dream is to be a CEO. And we're working on these things that we agreed on that will help get you there. Has your goal changed? Has your dream changed? And that is powerful, because what happens is they'll sit there and they'll either tell you, yes, it has, which is great, because if they tell you that, now you can realign on what the new dream is, but chances are it hasn't changed. And what that does is it diffuses the conversation. It diffuses the situation. And it helps you guys rekindle on the fact that you're doing what you're doing to help them. And that is a very, very powerful thing. So this week's lesson is, talk to your team about their dreams. Don't feel foolish about it. Figure out that big thing they want out of life, and then you do everything possible to help them achieve it. And guess what? When you figure that out, they'll run through walls for you. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.